Hello dear students, welcome back to your chemistry class. So by now, I hope that all of you have understood what is chemistry, its meaning and also its importance. So today, we are going to begin with our second chapter, that is elements, compounds and mixtures. All the substances that make up universe, or in other words, everything that is present around you, that is including both living and non-living things, is called as a matter. So the substances that are present around you are classified into two main categories, as pure substances and impure substances. Impure substances are further classified as mixtures. Pure substances are further classified as elements and compounds. Elements are again classified as metals, nonmetals, metalloids and noble gases. We will take each of these terms one by one and study that in detail. But before we go into see what are these pure and impure substances, let's understand two other important terms in chemistry. They are atoms and molecules. Yes, have you heard anywhere of these words atoms and molecules? Atoms are the smallest particle of a matter. Or in other words, they are the building blocks of all matter. Let's take an example of a paper. Let's try to cut the paper into two. Now, you take one of the pieces and cut it again into two. Likewise, you keep on cutting until you get the smallest bit of it, which cannot be further divided. This smallest particle, which cannot be divided again, is called as an atom. But remember, they are very, very small, even beyond our imagination. Likewise, all the substances that is present around you is made up of tiny particles called as atoms. But atoms of most of the substances are not stable, and therefore they are not able to exist independently. So we can say that atoms are the smallest particle of a matter and it is not capable of independent existence. As you can see here in the picture, this red and two white balls, it represents atoms. So here in this picture, in total, there are 3 atoms. This red atom is different from this white atoms. Now let us see what are molecules. Atoms of same substances or atoms of different substances combined together. This combination of atoms is called as molecules. As you can see here in this picture, atoms have combined together in order to give a molecule. Here, these are atoms of different substances. These two white balls represents atom of one substance, while the red ball represents an atom of another substance. So here, atoms of different substances have combined together in order to give a molecule. Now, let us see what are elements, compounds and mixtures. In a substance, if all the atoms that are present are same or identical, then we call that substance an element. These elements cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances. Say for example, we take an element that is iron. If we take any of these iron pieces as you see here in the picture and try to divide it, the smallest unit that we get here is the iron atom, which is represented here as a ball with Fe written at the center of it. Likewise, if we take any of these pieces here and try to do the same process of cutting it into the smallest particle, what we get is the same iron atom which we got initially. So we can say that an element cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances. This cannot be done by any physical or any chemical method. As you can see here, these are atoms of iron and these are atoms of sulfur. This is another element which we call as sulfur. And same like how iron atoms are represented, each of these balls represent a sulfur atom. Elements are further classified as metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gases. Now let us see what are compounds. Two or more different elements combine together to give a compound. Unlike elements, compounds can be broken down into elements. This can be done by chemical methods. Look at the picture here. We have already seen atoms of sulfur and atoms of iron in the previous slide. These atoms of sulfur and atoms of iron are combined together in order to form a compound, which we call as iron sulfide compound. We already know that a combination of atoms are called as molecules. So here, this iron sulfide compound is now made up of iron and sulfur molecules, where two or more atoms combine together, we call it as a molecule. So here there is a combination of two atoms, that is sulfur atom and iron atom. And so we can say that in this iron sulfide compound, we have iron sulfide molecules. The next is mixtures. I am sure you all would have tasted something that looks like this, isn't it? What is this? It is nothing but a mixture. Mixture is a combination of two or more substances that are mixed in any proportion. But even after mixing, each of these substances will retain its own property. So here we can say that this groundnut, even after mixing in this mixture, will not change its taste, isn't it? Likewise, each of these individual substances will not change its property even when it is in a mixture. Likewise, here we mix iron and sulfur together. This is done in any proportion and we get this mixture of iron and sulfur. So always remember that elements and compounds are pure substances which are made up of one kind of atoms or one kind of molecules, while a mixture is made up of two or more substances. Even if the mixture is made up of two or more substances, it is to be noted that each of these substances will retain their properties.